at the Marble Arch first thing in the morning. So I want the security to be at the Marble Arch no later than 8 o'clock. So 8 a.m. I want you to be ready, suited, vested and in position. So make your way down for about 7:30. There are going to be 4 or 5 teams there with team leaders. So in terms of the security, when you arrive, you will have a team leader that will have contacted you. They will tell you your positions on the Marble Arch. So there are 2 sections to the event. You've got the gathering at the Marble Arch, which starts at around about 9 o'clock. That's when the maqtal or the reading or the recital will start. That will normally last from 9 till about 12:30. So that is a combination of poetry recital. You're going to have the maqtal being read, and then there's going to be prayers, and there's going to be refreshments that are going to be given out. So this all takes place between 9 o'clock up until 1. From 2 o'clock, 10 past 2 maximum, we're looking at setting off from the Marble Arch and heading into Oxford Street. And expected time of arrival at 10 Downing Street is about an hour and a half, or more likely 2 hours. But I've advised the police and all the agencies that will be there for around about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So the route is, you've seen all the maps here. The route is starting off at the Marble Arch. We leave, set off from 2 o'clock, go down Oxford Street. At the last junction, last block of Oxford Street, we're going to have the whole width of Oxford Street. But up until that point, we're only going to have 1 lane. So this is a critical time because the people that are going to be walking with the march need to keep people in line. We need to keep them aware of any traffic that is going to be passing in the opposite direction. And we need to make sure that no children or no one who's vulnerable steps out onto moving traffic. That's the main concern that we're going to have. The last junction of Oxford Street is going to be full width. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the route is going to be full width. At that point, the crowd is going to move over to the right, and take a right onto Regent Street. And on Regent Street, again, we're just going to have the southbound traffic closed off to us. So it's going to be oncoming traffic in the opposite direction. But Regent Street is easier to manage because there are barriers down the middle of Regent Street. Oxford Street, we don't have that luxury at some points. Got to continue down Regent Street up until Piccadilly Circus. At Piccadilly Circus, we're going to take a right onto Haymarket. We're going to follow Piccadilly Circus around up until Trocadero, and then we're going to take a right onto Haymarket. Haymarket will have the full width of the road all the way down onto Pall Mall. We're going to take a left, heading towards Trafalgar Square. So if any of you are not familiar with the area, please, read through the maps and see. We're going to have a pack that each of your team leaders will have on the day, will have the route, and you'll be able to liaise. But basically, you're going to be moving along with the crowd. So the final destination point after we pass that is going to be 10 Downing Street. There's going to be a small area called Richmond Terrace, where we're going to have our usual vans. They'll be giving out refreshments, so we're going to have speaker systems. So the main thing to look out for while we're moving is, again, traffic, any troublemakers. Now, this year, the other dynamic that we have to deal with is that there's got to be another march. There's got to be gathering on the north carriage of Hyde Park. So they're about 200 meters away from where we are. And the first half of the day is going to be, we have to be aware that there are 2 crowds coming. One crowd is majority Iranian, and they're going to be gathering on the north carriage area of Hyde Park. So there might be people trying to cause problems, or there might be people trying to stir trouble or make us look bad as a community. So we have to be wary of that. I think Laith has briefed everyone that we need to be polite, we need to be courteous. We can't react to anyone. Even if someone is being aggressive or being rude, I don't want any reaction. You call it into your team leader, you advise them what the situation is, and you wait for a team to come to you. And that team leader will have a responsibility to report back to the head of security, will be Ali and Laith, and Hassanian as well, and Mustafa. So these are the main people that are going to be on the ground, or to myself. I'm going to be on the radio, but I'm not going to be in communication with all of you because I'm going to be liaising between the main people here and also the agencies that are going to be involved. On the day as well, we're going to have a stewarding company. There is going to be about 27 stewards, and there are going to be traffic marshals. So these traffic marshals are responsible for traffic that's moving. They're the ones that have got to close the roads, and then they've got to open the roads. So, as I said, we're going to be worried about any issues with the other crowds that's gathering on the other side. The rest of the main issue is the security of the people on the Marble Arch as well. Sometimes there are troublemakers. This year we're reading the maqtal. It can be quite inflammatory to the Sunni community. Okay, so the maqtal is not like how we do it every year. It's quite inflammatory. There are sections of the maqtal that are, that might cause offense to certain members of the Sunni community, and these things that we have to be aware that we don't want to have anything or any type of aggression on the day itself. So no, the Iranians are they're not going to be reading the maqtal. They're just gathering. Yeah, but we're going to be reading the maqtal, which is different. So these are the things that we have to be aware about. So they're going to have troublemakers from the Iranian side. There might be troublemakers from other people in the area, and even members of the public wondering what's going on and what's happening, and that's also something that we have to be concerned about. So I'm just telling you what the main security issues are. The rest of the event, you're going to have stewards, and you're going to have a lot of volunteers. So you've got to know how many volunteers there are going to be. Any other things that we need to cover? Those are the main points that we need to cover on the day itself. You're going to be positioned. We're going to have teams that are going to be walking along with the procession. These teams are going to just ensure that the group is moving along at a steady pace. Where we're going to bunch them up, there will be a team at the front of the march that will stop the procession moving at certain junctions in order to allow everyone to catch up. You're going to have the women at the back, which is normal. Again, I want a team with the women as well to make sure that there is no one interfering or no one causing any issues. Try and keep the men at the front of the march and the women towards the back to keep that separation. If there are any other questions that you have on the day itself, you're not sure about anything, please relay them across to your team leaders. They'll be able to advise you, or they'll be able to call it in, and we can find, we can get those questions answered. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Are we going by how are we going to Marble Arch? Everybody with his car or?
So on the day you can park. It's a weekday, okay. So you're gonna need to. The parking is, you have to pay for the parking. There are.
We go with our cars.
Yeah, you go with your cars. There are parking bays. There is a drop-off point in the Marble Arch, but because we're not coming back to Marble Arch, everything is going to be packed up. When the march moves off, everything on the square is going to be packed up and moved across towards Downing Street. Is that correct?
Yes, no cars allowed.
No cars are allowed.
So transportation, speak with me.
Okay.
So anyone regarding transportation, just liaise with me, and I hope I'll make things swift and easy for you.
Okay.
Do you want to say what time they should be there?
Yeah. So yeah, just you have to be on site, ready to go at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, because we're expecting people to start arriving around about 8:30, 9 o'clock. People start arriving. As I said, it's reading of the maqtal is different to other events that we've done previously. Previously, the maqtal is read here or read in the Majlis, and then people tend to move over there. This time, no, it's going to be read over there, so we're expecting people to arrive very early, and we're going to have refreshments that we're going to be giving out as well. So this is a completely different dynamic. The thing that TfL have specified, the crossover from Marble Arch into Oxford Street has to be as a pulse operation. So what that means, that the road around Marble Arch is not going to be closed off completely. It's going to have a traffic notice, it's going to have a temporary hold. We're only allowed to hold traffic for 5 minutes at a time. So every 5 minutes, we have to allow traffic to go through, we have to stop the crowd, allow the traffic to go through, keep the buses moving as everything is on diversion, and then we allow the crowd to cross over. At some point in Oxford Street, probably the first junction, we're going to hold the crowd where they are. But we'll clarify all those details on the day itself. We'll have a team on the front, and they will be stopping and allowing the crowd to move forward. Any other questions that you have?
How long we are allowed to stay at the Downing Street?
Well, I mean, when we get to Downing Street, we'll have about an hour to stay and disperse. So between 3:30 to 4:30. But no one is going to stop us being there. They're just basically going to allow us to gather there, as long as we're not interrupting the traffic. So that's the main thing that we have.
After we're done, how do we actually guide people back to, like say for example, someone wants to go back to Marble Lodge?
Okay.
Is there a specific route that they can take straight back to Marble Lodge, like an easy route or something?
So from where we're going to be, they can probably, the easiest way is to catch a train or a bus back towards Marble Arch. We haven't provided any transport for people to get back. Okay.
We were just going one direction.
We're just going one way. Yeah. Last year we went up Edgware Road and then came back. This year it's only going in one direction.
What streets, roads were going to be on double carriage or single?
So the majority, so far, as far as I know, Oxford Street is going to be single lane, Regent Street is going to be single lane, Piccadilly is going to be the full width, Haymarket is the full width. So where I say Piccadilly, at the bottom of Regent Street, you've got Piccadilly Circus. They'll allow us the full width of Piccadilly Circus. Because it's narrow anyway, there's not much room.
Single way that we're going to face traffic on the...
Yes.
All right.
On-
So we have one lane
Yes,
in Oxford Street.
in Oxford Street.
That's a quite...
Yeah, Oxford Street, yeah, is very, yeah. Oxford Street is going to be the troublesome road. So that's, but I'll have clarification of that tomorrow. If it's not going to be feasible, then it might give us the whole width of Oxford Street. Yeah.
That's still not true.
Well, no, they were considering it, but I have to wait until.
The whole way.
Yeah, we'll have to wait because the disruption to the buses, the transport network is big. Oxford Street is the main artery route for all buses that come in.
Almost always crowded.
Yeah, and it's crowded as well. So it's got to cause a lot of disruption. So they've suggested one route is closed, the other one is open. However, on the day itself, if the crowd numbers are sufficient, we will close the whole of Oxford Street. Okay?
According to the, go ahead. According to the number of people turning up,
Yeah,
that's where the decision will be taken.
Yeah.
Whether we take
Yeah.
trains or single.
yeah. The whole procession is going to be monitored by TfL. So TfL control station is all going to monitor everything on CCTV. If there are any issues, they will normally, call in. They will contact me directly and tell me what's happening. Now, again, another thing you're going to have to be careful about is drivers. Drivers can get frustrated. They can get angry. Last year, we've had people actually trying to drive into the crowd to go across junctions. Again, please report any incidents. Take down the vehicle registration number. Try and manage the situation, but always report it back. There were incidents where everyone decided to take the law into their own hands. They took the keys off one guy who was stubborn. They took his car key away from him. It didn't really help the situation. It just created more of an aggressive person. So yeah, try and diffuse the situation. So you had a question.
Yeah, as I understand, in the beginning, from the Marble Arch to the Oxford Street, we have to move quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many junctions later on we will face to stop little bit?
All the junctions are closed. All the junctions on Oxford Street are going to be closed. They're not even going to be open. So it's not like Edgware Road. We don't have to stop. It's literally straight down. Yeah?
So they can, okay, because they're the Bahraini Association, they're going to be at the front side of the march.
Got it.
They're going to be controlling the crowd moving forward.
Fine.
So that's why he was asking that question. Sorry, I didn't liaise you on that point.
Yeah.
So they'll be taking the front side. They'll be liaising with my side and Baraka.
Got it.
in terms of moving forward.
Okay.
I think that's why he was referring to.
So yeah, we have control of that. So you know, last year
It's in our hands.
it's in our hands. Last year we had to stop to allow traffic to go through. This year all the junctions on Oxford Street are closed. So we can stop it whenever we want. We don't have to stop because there's traffic waiting. They've redirected all the traffic around Oxford Street.
Is there a limited time for us to cross Oxford Street, or
They just want us to be through Oxford Street within an hour. You know, they want us to be in. They're expecting us to be in Richmond Terrace and Downing Street by 3 o'clock. They think it will take us an hour to get from Marble Arch to Richmond Terrace. I've told them realistically an hour and a half to 2 hours.
so what time we're going to make the move from Marble Arch
2 o'clock.
up to 3:34?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's manageable. I think it's manageable.
What have we prepared to maintain people in line? Is there like what we usually do?
So we've got about, I think is it 300 meters of rope? We've got about two.
1,000.
So we've got 1,000 meters worth of rope.
Divided into 250s.
Yeah.
We can merge them together. It's not a problem.
So there's got to be 4 teams that are got to be along the length of the march with the rope. So they'll be moving along with the march to keep everyone in line. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Ali Mashkoor. He's going to talk to you more about the security details. Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Just so I introduce myself, Ali Mashkoor. I am an ex-special sergeant from the Metropolitan Police, and currently I work as an operations security manager in Iraq, managing security operations over there. So I know a little bit about security. Mohammed basically has given you an overview of how the whole route is and what possible incidents might occur. I just want to emphasize on kind of the policing side of it and what our role is. You guys here on the day will be there as stewards, not as police officers, not as anything else. You have no powers of doing anything. All you can do is stop an incident, but we're trying to avoid and try and calm situations down. The only time when you can get physically involved, is when a serious incident has happened, where someone has been hit or someone has taken someone, theft. That's the only time when all you can do is stop the individual, the criminal, suspect. So let's try and move away from that and try and prevent it before it happens. Incidents that might occur, you have antisocial behavior, so you have possibly individuals that want to come there and ruin the procession or trying to get involved. It could be an individual, it could be groups. Groups could be groups from our own community, or it could be external community. As Muhammad said, there are other sects of Islam that are very anti what we're trying to do here. So there is a possibility they might want to prevent it from happening or prevent it from proceeding. The only thing that we can try and do is just keep them away from the rest of the groups. Our role there is to have that divide between our people that are in the procession and whoever is on the outside trying to interfere. Other types of criminal activities that can happen, you have robbery or theft. There are a lot of gypsies around in those areas and they want to go and start taking things from other people's pockets. Again, if you see that incident happening, all you can do is eject that person from the procession. Depending on the severity of the incident, all you can do is speak to your team leader and they will advise you on whether you need to keep that person to hand over to the police or you just take them out, leave them, and we carry on. Other type of, inshallah, it won't happen, is terrorism. Very difficult to avoid or prevent. But if you see something and you suspect it, that it could be wrong, you need to report it straight away and just keep people away from it. If it's a bag that has wires sticking out, just stay away. Don't get involved, don't try and play with it, don't open it. Just leave it alone and just keep people back away from it. They say that the safe line of sight from a bomb is 100 meters. So you need to, within 100 meters, you need to be behind something solid. So sorry? Okay. Yeah. No, I used it because so everyone can understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, yeah, we'll move on to that in a second. So yeah, if you do see a suspect package, don't play with it, don't tamper with it, just... No, don't run. If you run, people will start running. You're there to keep everyone calm, okay? And just keep people away from it. Exactly, that's what... Exactly, that's my point. It's very difficult to deal with, but all you can try and do is keep people moving. You might diffuse it by doing that. Yeah.
If you mention something like this, the people hear that, everybody will panic, and I think the problem...
That's it, that's it. Exactly. That's it. You don't mention it, you just let people keep moving and try and keep people away from it. Inform the supervisors. Supervisors, team leaders, you have to inform them and we will take it up and deal with it with the police. A few years back when I was in charge of the Iraqi elections in Wembley, we had a similar incident and we had to clear the whole building. And then it turned out it was just someone's bag. It was nothing. So just try and keep people calm. Don't get into that. It's very difficult because you will face all sorts of people that will try and get, especially the big guys, you will always have people trying to prove that they are stronger than you. Just calm things down and just let people move. That's it. That's what we need to focus on. Like Muhammad said, we need to talk about radios. The radio is not there for you to have a chat with your friend. It's not there to get directions. It's not there. It's the sole purpose of the radio is for team leaders to tell teams what they need to do. And if there's something important that an individual sees that they need to report up, you say it on the radio. Otherwise, the channels will be so busy that no one will hear anything. The other thing that I've experienced from previous possessions is people shouting on the radio. If you put the mic right up to your mouth and you shout, the other people cannot hear what you're saying. There's no point in you using it. They're designed to accept your voice from a distance, not from close up. Okay? If you do put it close up, you need to whisper. If you shout, it's not going to work. It's very similar to this, what he's given me. If I start shouting up to the mic, they can't hear anything. So it's just little things that everyone needs to understand. Using radios is very important, but you only use it when it's really important to use. It's something serious for you to say. Otherwise, it's usually team leaders or supervisors feeding information to you guys. And, sorry? We'll discuss that later. We need to provide our own little coding system. Yeah, so we'll tell you on specific things on how to use the radio, what are the codes that you need to mention. Because otherwise, if you start, people with lack of experience will probably start saying a whole message when it could be done in 2 words. So we'll give you small codes that you can use just so everyone understands what you're trying to say. Any questions from me? For me? No? خلاص? Excellent.
Our power. What's our maximum power?
Your power? By law, you can only contain someone if they have caused a serious crime.
I I understand. I don't mean this. I mean, what would you suggest? What would you want us to deal with when it gets basically to the most difficult situation? How would you like us to? That a situation where we cannot deal with it, we report.
Yeah.
After that.
You report, and your role is to protect the people that we're here to all protect. You keep moving them on. You're not there to deal with a fight. You're there to keep people moving. Keep your fighting in the cage. And now I'll give it over to Baraka, who will he has a few things to say.
I'm more sleepy than anyone else here. They'll edit it. So editing, no? They lie there. صح حبيبي. السلام عليكم. كيفك بيني؟ As you know, this has been going on for many years, since 1985, and is growing year by year. Last year, the police and the council, they gave us a mission when we went through Ajwa Road. Through Ajwa Road, I feel is more difficult than this one. This one is just long. All roads are closed, is easy. The other one, we had to control traffic every single junction. Yeah, very difficult. This one, few things weren't mentioned. Most of the stuff were mentioned. The first group, the Bahraini group, which is going to lead the march, you need to be aware of people giving out food. Okay, so if you suspect someone who's not from the community giving out sandwiches, straight away you need to alert the police. Don't come to me, just say, this guy, stop him. We don't know him, okay? Until he's found, he's identified by one of the members. That's very important. It's an issue that the police has raised as well. That's number one. Number two, we're going to be divided into 5 main teams. One team is going to be the security, which again, the security will have one team. Within the security, there'll be many teams. One of them will be going with the main people of the community who are wearing turbans. So your duty on that day, as previous experiences, you need to look out windows. Some people throw eggs, some people throw flowers, different people throw different things, okay? You need to, don't do anything, just identify the place, take a photo of it. Normally, we have someone with a phone and just filming the streets. This year, we're going to have a car from our own cars going at the beginning, and is going to be videoing throughout the march. So that's going to help clear the traffic and ease our way. The other team is the rope, which is you guys. Every one of you will have 10 people to manage. On the day, we'll identify the team leaders, whoever wants to be a team leader. We have some team leaders. And then you're going to have to manage 10 guys with you. From those 10, only one of them will have the walkie-talkie, and this needs to go up and down just like what you're doing. And he will inform you as how far away the other team is. And your names will be colors. And your color is the color of the rope. So if you've got the blue rope, we know where is the blue rope. Is the first, second, or third as team main operation. So when we say blue, stop, red, go, we don't want to know your name. You look at your rope, you need to stop, okay? So that's very, very, very important with the rope, because it's is the children's safety in your hands. It's really important. And then there'll be a small group remaining in Marble Arch for packing and diverting. And from experience, a lot of people will come late. So you need to tell them the march has just left, just go catch them. That's really important, because people would pray in their houses or attend a maqtal elsewhere, and then they would come and join us. So it's very important for people to be in Marble Arch. There'll be a team there and telling them, we'll have this map over there for you to show them where is the route. If he's come an hour late, tell him catch the train, go to Oxford Circus, go to Piccadilly.
Probably wouldn't need to, we just walk it.
Okay?
The march is too big.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Okay? And for the sisters, we're going to have their own teams and their own volunteers, and we're just going to have the security securing the ladies. It won't be from us. Okay? So you will be dealing with that on that day. One day, one team, yeah? Okay.
So we'll put one security team there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've already assessed Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you mentioned it the other day. Yes, Muhammad.
So what I understand that the security will be securing sisters. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's one of the, so just like you're at the front, there's a team from the security right at the front with all the mu'ammamin. Okay, so they're opening the way and they're securing the way. And there'll be, with the sisters, there won't be many of us from the community. They'll be mostly from the security, which is you, okay?
Which is you in person, you and your team.
Because
I told you yesterday, you and your team, so...
Muhammad Ali, the beginning of the march, then the Bahrain community and our guys, we know the route. The guys that you see here, there'll be another, how many, 40 altogether, sah? So there's only 10, there's 30 that they'll be clueless on the route. So you just need to give them a task, and their task is just go with this crowd. They don't know about roads, they don't know about what is what. Just maintain what's going on. And that's why we need you, mostly with the sisters, because they're more vulnerable. And they have a lot of kids.
I love that.
Okay?
I prefer to work with sisters
Yeah.
instead of...
We all do. We all do.
No, bro. My way.
I think they appreciate your presence a lot more than boys.
How do you do it?
Okay, any other questions?
When we finish the meeting.
Very soon. When food arrives. تفضل مصطفى.
Yeah, so, Mustafa, thank you for
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Everybody in a great mood, I hope. They say the 7 P's, proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Do we all understand that? Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. That's what they teach you in the army. Meaning, we need to have priorities in place and prevent issues from happening by being calm, by being collected, by being respectful, by being cautious, not to upset anybody. Upset your team, upset your colleagues, upset visitors, upset anybody. Take everything with a pinch of salt from everybody. First of all, my main concern is I want to be set up before people show up, before the security come. Before anything, we need to be ready in the morning, bright and early, and with no errors. Meaning, so before we leave, we need to ensure that we've packed everything that we would possibly need on the day. When we're there, we need to act in a sensible manner. No shouting, no losing tempers, no smoking in public while you're wearing your vests. When you're dealing with visitors, you talk to them politely. The older generation, you bow down to them, so you make sure you're listening to them. You talk nicely to one another, and you do not horse around. By horsing around, I mean looking at your phones, wandering into your own little world of imagination. You're there for a certain reason. You're here to protect, you're here to serve, and you're here to do yourself a favor by acting like a civilized human for the day. The rest of the days, do what you want. On Wednesday, we act like we're in a military camp. We're not to joke, we're not to play around, we're not to be emotional, and we're not to misunderstand things that are told to us. My only concern is I want everybody to be on time, I want everybody to be sharp, and I want everybody to be serious. Apart from that, I'm sure you guys will all do a wonderful job like you've done so in the previous years. Through my own understanding that you guys are all doing this for the you have from within. Do not let something spoil that. Do not allow somebody to rain on our parade. Do not allow ourselves to lose focus. Any questions?
So we have to be 3 Ps.
7 Ps, mate. Yes, well, yes, the 3 Ps. You're sharper than I am at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Polite, positive.
Amazing. Amazing, that's it. So, any questions?
Yes. What time are we going to sleep?
Now, let's go home. Yeah, let's go. Thank you very much. Sweet dreams, good night. لبيك يا حسين.
أبو خالد أبو خالد